Are you ready for Rosemary's story? She's the fourth Rogers child, Rosemary Rebecca. And her birth really changed a lot of things for me. I'll start at the beginning. Penelope was 3 months old when I found out I was pregnant with Rosemary. And if you've been watching the videos, you know that my husband had just left a company of 10 years to strike out on his own and start his own company. We had nothing. He had a computer in the basement and this one part-time guy that we love and we're so thankful for. But we didn't have, anything. But we had submitted to the Lord that we would gladly receive whatever children He gave us. And so He tested that right away with Rosemary. And we were thankful. We were thrilled. It was definitely a time of leaning on the Lord and learning to trust His provision. And He did. He provided for us in so many ways. I could write a book just on the ways that the Lord has provided for us. So her pregnancy was easy, not as dramatic as Penelope's. I will say that God still had us on the journey of recognizing what a gift life is. I had a dear friend who was also pregnant with a girl. We were due the same time. And the same day, we both found out we were having girls, but I found out that mine was healthy, and she found out that hers had a fatal form of dwarfism. And so she had her baby a few weeks early, and she died pretty soon after she was born. And so we had a very real sense that this life that God has given us is not to be taken for granted. We just were humbled by that. We couldn't understand why the Lord would give us a healthy baby, but He did. And we just grew in gratitude and humility through that. So Rosemary was born, and I had struggled with the babies before her to breastfeed. I think looking back, I was just in a hurry to get back to normal life. Okay, I've had the baby, breastfeeding should go easy, and I should just be able to plow through it and kind of move on with life. But I always struggled, and I would just give up within a few weeks. And so I was just determined. I understood the value of breastfeeding. I really wanted to do it. I wanted to give that gift to my children. So when I was still pregnant with her, I found the La Leche League, which is just a beautiful support group for breastfeeding mothers. And in my last trimester, I went to all the meetings and just learned all that I could about breastfeeding. I read about it. I talked to people about it. I watched other mothers do it. And so she came home and we just started breastfeeding. And the first month was actually pretty hard. I had thrush. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's very painful. It's like a yeast infection in your breast. And so I remember being in so much pain that I would get a towel or a blanket or something and bite down when she latched on. No joke. I had to psych myself up for it. And so I knew something was up. Luckily, I talked to a La Leche League specialist who said, hey, what you're having is thrush, and there's an antibiotic for that. So, we went through that hoop together, and Rosemary just stuck it out with me. And after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. And it became like one of my favorite things. I remember sitting in a rocker in our downstairs with her in the early morning. I had this particular praise and worship CD that I would play and would just pray and praise the Lord and just look down at my Rosemary and be thankful. And they were just peaceful times. They were precious times where we were really, really bonding. The Lord was really growing me as a mother. I had to slow down and I had to just accept you are postpartum and you are a breastfeeding mother. And that's a different thing. Those of you who have bottle fed and breastfed, you know that that's a different thing than bottle feeding. When you're bottle feeding, you can say, hey, I need to go take a nap. Here, take this bottle. When you're breastfeeding, it is all you all the time. That's all the baby wants. And so it really stretched me and grew me as a mother to breastfeed her for that year. But it changed me profoundly, honestly. Another thing that I started doing that just made it easier because I was breastfeeding all the time, I started wearing Rosemary. I found the Moby wrap, and I just wore her in that Moby wrap. She was always either in the Moby wrap or breastfeeding, but one of the two, always. And so, and that just brought great peace. I had these other 3 little girls that I was homeschooling, taken care of full time, and so to have my hands free was a wonderful thing. And also breastfeeding just caused me to sit and read books to the other ones, to just sit more and just allow maybe the house to be a mess for a little bit, or for just all the things not to get done. It was a really life-changing thing for me. Another thing, during her first few months, I found a wonderful ministry called Above Rubies. There's this beautiful lady, Nancy Campbell, who's I think 80 something now, but she's still going strong in the ministry. She started the ministry before I was even born, I think in 1976. She was in Australia, so she has this beautiful Australian accent, and she was lonely as a mother and wanted to find other mothers and encourage them. And so that's what she did then, and it's what she still does today. And my friend Amy and I had oldest daughters who were 10 or 11 and babies, nursing babies, about 6 months old. And we went to this Above Rubies conference together. And I just cried with thanksgiving for the truth that was being spoken there. The ladies there were committed to teaching their children to know and love the Lord, to staying home and taking care of their children full time. And it just helped me a lot to be encouraged in what I was doing as a mother. So I would say that probably Rosemary's babyhood just brought such a peace to me. It was finally, I had these 4 little girls, and God was saying, okay, Julie, you are a mother, and this is what you're doing with your life. This is what I've called you to do. And He provided all the resources for me to encourage me, and that's really what I want to do for other mothers as well, because I remember what a lifeline it was for me. So I'm so thankful for Rosemary Rebecca. She's named that because my middle name is Rose. My mother's middle name is Rose. My grandmother's maiden name is Rose. It's a longtime family name. And then my other grandmother, my dad's grandmother, was very special to me too, and her name was Mary. Plus, we love to grow herbs. One of my favorites is rosemary. So she has family names, and we just love Rosemary. I also love Rebecca because Rebecca in the Bible is one of my favorite characters. When Abraham's servant goes to find a bride for Isaac, and she waters him and his camels, and it says that she hastened to serve Abraham's servant, and I just prayed that for Rosemary Rebecca before she was born. Lord, I would love for her to be a Rebecca, like Rebecca in the Bible, and so her name is spelled the same way, and she is a Rebecca, and she is a Rosemary. I think of Rosemary as healing and soothing, just this beautiful life-giving herb, and she is that in our family. I'm so thankful for Rosemary. So tomorrow I'll tell you about the first Rogers boy who also changed my perspective on so many things. Each of these children has just impacted me in such a way. I'm so thankful that God gave them to me. But our first boy story will be next. Have a great day.